Hey everybody, it is G for G. It is Napalm Dawn. You know the deal so far. We're going to talk about Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux today. So, when I happened to do a video recently, I gave you guys a set of tips for starting out within Marvel Avengers Alliance Beta 6 when it eventually drops. And, you know, one of the things I mentioned in there was to think about theme teams and some stuff you can do with the agent and some gear that you should work on unlocking and everything. And when it comes to theme teams in Marvel Avengers Alliance, you're usually talking about debuffs or certain attack styles. Like you're going to do a physical team, you're going to do an energy team, you're going to do a burning team or a bleeding team, or everybody defends so that when you're in PvP, who's actually going to take the attack and everything. Well, one of the things that I wanted to do and have been planning now for about a day or so is to talk about 2 easy theme teams you can start working on when Beta 6 drops. Now, here's the typical disclaimer that I always have to give in the beginning of the videos. Don't discuss mobile versions. Do not discuss Beta 6. Don't ask me when it's going to release. Don't ask me how close it is to releasing. Don't ask me about beta versions after Beta 6. Will there be a 7 and 8? When is the release candidate? Just focus on what we're discussing here in this particular video. And what we're going to be discussing in this particular video is burning teams. So the 2 that I have planned and I have content in my head for are burning teams and bleeding teams. I'm going to separate them out into 2 videos to keep them a little bit shorter. I'm going to start with the burners, as I call this video, as it is a little bit of a smaller subset of gear and heroes, so it's going to be a little bit of a quicker video. Now, for the burners, for the bleeders, and anything else I do, this is content to prep you for Beta 6. Beta 6 is only Season 1 content. So that is content that was in the game from when it started its inception in 2012 to about the summer of 2013. I think June or July of 2013 is when we kicked over to Season 2. So when Beta 6 drops, it's going to have all of Season 1, Chapters 1 through 12. It's going to have Spec Ops 1 through 11, and I think it's 9 PvPs. So it's a pretty good base, and in all honesty, it's going to keep you occupied for a really, really long time while Season 2 and future content cooks. I mean, even just Beta 6 has kept me going for a long time. Or excuse me, even Beta 5.6, which is a internal tester build only. There has been some ridiculous confusion about Beta 5.6 lately that is absolutely driving me up a wall. Beta 5.6 is not going to be available to the public. There are some people who are like, when can I get Beta 5.6? When is it going to be released? You will never get 5.5. You will never get 5.6. You are jumping from 5.2 to Beta 6 when it's ready. Beta 5.5 and Beta 5.6 are tester builds to make sure the content, when it goes out in Beta 6, works properly, and it has significant advancements over 5.2, including tooltips and the like. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, my agent right now is equipped with a bunch of items in the burning kit that we're going to talk about. When it comes to a burn setup, I think one of the things that most has to be considered, kind of the anchor of the whole kit, or the thing you build around really, is the hotshot. The hotshot is a phenomenal weapon if you can get your hands on it. in Beta 6. It's going to be a great AoE weapon for the agent. It has a 2-round cooldown, but don't worry about that. 2 stacks of burning go on you. However, you're going to cause burning on the enemies. You're going to melt armor, which is fantastic. And if you are poisoned, which you can do through the signpost, you get the Dark Bargain buff, which grants a massive bonus to defense. And when this thing says a high chance to stun enemies, let me tell you right now, it's stunning enemies. It is about as overtuned as it was when Hotshot released back in Marvel Avengers Alliance, and it, did not get its nerf. I don't know if it'll stay that way, but the Hotshot right now is absolutely kicking ass. So the items that I have equipped right now, for an example, are Hotshot, Frozen Hell, the Fault Eater, and the Custom Touch of Flame and Shadow. But let's go ahead and talk about the items that I would recommend that you get in Season 1 content. So the other thing that I can really recommend before I jump into the others, something that I can really recommend for you when doing a burning setup, and it's going to show up in the bleed video too, and I think you know what that is immediately, the rocket pistol. The rocket pistol is as much of a core component of a burn setup or burn kit as the hotshot. Maybe even more so because it does bleeding, and bleeding is phenomenal when enemies take actions and they bleed out and everything. Obviously better than just burning alone. And to be honest, the rocket pistol and the hotshot even go together. They don't step on each other too much because the rocket pistol is great single target. Yes, you're going to get splash, a bleed, and burning, but you're not really using the rocket pistol that much for the AoE. The initial shot from the rocket pistol, the target, still gets hit with a whopping amount of damage, and the splash is just bonus, whereas the hotshot is going to do weaker damage overall, but hit everybody, and then if you can get poison, the stun is phenomenal. So, yes, the rocket pistol and the hotshot are going to be your key anchors, but let's look at some others. The Army of One is going to show up in PvP Season 4. This is the Punisher season. You will see this in Beta 6 because, as you can see here, the dates are January 2013 to February of 2013. That falls very much within Season 1's time frame, and it is Season 4 for PvP, and we know we're going up to 9, so you are going to be able to earn this item. Where does the Army of One fit in on this? It essentially is a rocket pistol replacement. It does what the rocket pistol does, where it has a really good amount of damage to a single target, but then it does splash, and that splash does burning. Where is it stronger than the rocket pistol? It has guaranteed crits against somebody who's been weakened. It does exposed, and it does weakened. So you're reducing defense, you're reducing attack, you're still splashing burning, you're still doing a relatively large single target payload. If you can get somebody to do weakened before the first shot of Army of One, great. If not, you can just repeatedly wail on the same target with Army of One, and it will keep exploiting what it actually sets up. As you can see here, there is no cooldown listed, so it actually beats the rocket pistol with the exception of not splashing bleeds. So we're going to ignore a few over here. I'm going to skip a lot of this kind of just, crappy mission gear, but there is one that we want to talk about in this section. 2 of them, actually. The custom Pyrotonfa. The Pyrotonfa has a chance to counterattack, which is good. It exploits chill. I'm going to ignore that. We don't really care about it. But it does do burning, and the counterattack should actually apply the burning on it. So you've got a 50% chance to counterattack. if the agent tanks or if the agent is targeted. And hopefully it causes burning when it actually does the counterattack, which means free burning. It's relatively far into Season 1, though, as it is a challenge mission for 111.2. And if we were to take a look at that, that's all the way up over here. It is this Toad mission, Mutant Mayhem. Yeah, that is pretty far into it, but it's also a decent weapon and it's worth going for. Up next is the Custom Touch of Flame and Shadow. It does burning and it does Dark Void. However, the good thing is it exploits burning. So if you have something like the hotshot or the rocket pistol and it went first and they're cooling down, or maybe the custom pyrotonfa has countered and put burning on somebody, you can do the Custom Touch Flame and Shadow to exploit burning that is already out. It is a little bit quicker in the grand scheme of things in that it drops in 1:10:4. So it's a little bit earlier. And I'm pretty much going to be, by the way, sticking with the custom gear when we're talking about this rather than their uncustom versions, unless there is specifically a difference. And I don't think we're going to get into that until the bleed video. Up next is the Dark Sigil, which comes from Chapter 9 Premium Mission. So this one is available a little bit earlier than some of the ones we've talked about. It is an AoE item. It hits all enemies. Again, no cooldown listed. It does weak point, burning, and Dark Void, and a guaranteed hit. So it's got some pretty good synergy with the Custom Touch of Flame and Shadow. Up next is the Fault Eater, which comes from Spec Ops number 3. So this one isn't really that far into it. It is the third Spec Ops where you can earn this item. And by the way, you do not have to do the Spec Ops in order. You can jump into whatever Spec Ops you want. You can go into 1 and get Mockingbird, or you can go into 11. You can go into the Vision one. You can go into the Havoc one. I will warn you, though, if you are thinking of completing a Spec Ops and you're jumping around in line, you're cutting the line a little bit, you're going to run into characters that you need for epic deploys that you don't have. Like you might need Wasp, you might need Beast, and you have to do things to earn them. So if you want to jump around with the Spec Ops, maybe only do so with the mindset to get a specific piece of gear that you want, but not actually think you're going to 100% Spec Ops 6 on the third day that you have Beta 6. Just a piece of advice. Fault Eater has Phoenix Rebirth, so it restores health over time. Really good for the agent, especially a tanking agent. It's a psychic energy attack in that it's going to avoid most shields, counters, protects. It is classified as an energy weapon, which is mostly good, but sometimes bad. And not only does it do burning, it does biofeedback. I don't really think I'm going to do a video on a poison team or a chill team. Outside of burning and bleeding, I might do, a generalized team and a disadvantage kind of a video, like who does generalize, what gear does generalize, disadvantage, and maybe things like opportunist and Paragon Exploiter, poison, chilled. Not too sure of that. I may do a catch-all magic one. They get a little bit more complex. Burning and bleeding is very simple, and it's also very easy, accessible, but the Fault Eater is really solid. The Flaming Post is a store item that unfortunately I would like to recommend, but this comes well into Season 2. As you can see here, its limited release date was in the 2014s. When this one comes around, I just want to throw this as an honorable mention, is that it is a psychic attack, but it also does flanked and burning. I remember really, really liking that piece of gear when it dropped. So ignore the Flaming Post for now. It's something for later. The Frozen Hell does burning and pyrophoric. This is pretty good. This is like static charge, except for fire. You remember static charge bounces around, lightning attacks, and all that. Well, pyrophoric helps burning get bounced around. It is available in Spec Ops 4, so relatively low in the Spec Ops order. Plus, pyrophoric is pretty solid. It does get mentioned that it can come as a drop in the magnetic lockboxes, which are the magneto lockboxes, and you start earning them in the Havoc Spec Ops. So you've got a couple of ways to get this. You can get it from All Hallows. You can get it from the magnetic lockbox. You can get it in Spec Ops 4 when you're doing Research for Grief and everything. Pretty accessible item. We're going to skip over Fury. That one's not too much worth talking about. And let's see some of the other. There's Hotshot, which we've talked about. I'm going to skip over the Tridents because they occur very, very late. They are in the Damien Spec Ops, and that's right at the tail end of the content that will be available when it comes to Beta 6. So that's like really, really deep into it. Also, the Tridents are a little bit weird. The Infernal Trident causes burning and causes ravaged. But this is the weaker version. When you upgrade it and you take it to the Therium Trident, that one just causes pain, but then changes burning into soulfire. So actually, unless something else is putting out the burning, you would want to run both Tridents, which gets a little bit weird when you do that with Spec Ops gear. Best to use the upgraded Trident if something else is putting out the burning. There is the rocket pistol. It says it's a 70% chance of putting out burning. I feel like it's way more consistent than that. Touch Flame and Shadow. The Vajra comes in from the Vision Spec Ops. Spec Ops 8. And it is a little weird. Again, this one's more of an honorable mention than something direct. It causes biofeedback, and then it causes exposed if biofeedback is there, and then it causes burning if they're exposed. If you have something that causes exposed, you can jump the queue and go right to the burning. So it's complicated. It's not an easy setup. It requires a little bit of work, and it's an upgrade from the Voltcaster. And in case you can't tell, this is very similar to Omega Sentinel's arm. So that's pretty much it for the burning gear. Who is going to be available to you as burning heroes? We're going to ignore Constrictor because that's just random inventory usage. Damien Hellstrom will be able to do it. Deadpool, which is a early PvP character. You get him in Season 1. However, it's random. It's a very low chance from lots of red boxes, so we're going to ignore that. Deathlocket Destroyer, Dr. Doom we're going to ignore. Enchantress we're going to ignore. Hawkeye is a random chance on his special arrows. You have to get the incendiary arrow to do it. We're going to ignore that. Human Torch. We finally have a character available in Season 1 with consistent burning damage over here. Human Torch is definitely one of the best people that works with burning in the early parts of the game. Fireball is a huge heavy hitter. If a target is burning, I mean, you can skip Flame Stream if your agent has already put out the burning and go right to the Fireball and start doing big combustible damage. Ring of Fire is good if you know the target is going to do melee attacks, sort of in the way you want to set up somebody to bleed out when they do their attacks. Predominantly Flame Stream is the way to go. If they're already burning, go to Fireball. Ring of Fire is solid if you are expecting a lot of melee damage. I kind of look at Ring of Fire, and I wish it could be an AoE now and do this to the entire enemy team. Maybe that would be a good ISO at some point in the future that changes Ring of Fire into a AoE, similar to like the Caltrop launcher, the way that is with bleeding and everything. And then Nova Blast is the catastrophic desperation attack guaranteed crit. So Human Torch, especially with his alt, the Annihilus one, is a fantastic way to go when it comes down to dealing with burning damage and everything. Iron Man is the next one, and he gets it on his Missile Barrage. Now, for his first two skins, you have burning all the way. Eventually, he starts getting into bleeds when he gets up at the Mark 42, which is one of my favorite skins for him. However, you will not see this one for a little bit in Beta 6, as it occurs near the end of the Season 1 content. So ignore the bleeding stuff for now, but at least the first 3 uniforms for Iron Man, and actually for all of them, you are going to get the burning. It's the bleeding that comes later. Honestly, Mark 42 combined with the rocket pistol is a phenomenal combo. I like combining those two quite a bit. Kitty Pryde has it on Call Lockheed. Honestly, kind of weak. Omega Sentinel, who will be earnable in Beta 6, she is a pretty solid way to get out burning. It goes on all enemies when she's in her scrapper kit, and everybody on the team gets strengthened. So provided you're not dealing with bruisers, Plasma Torch is pretty solid. You deal with a cooldown, but she is relatively good at it. Punisher has it, and he is Season 4. So he'll be available. I never really consider Punisher as somebody who puts out burning. He's capable of doing it for one of his abilities. I'm kind of ignoring Punisher for this. I just don't think of him that way like I do the others. Scarlet Witch can do it with Chaotic Catalyst and Probability Field. And Vision also can do it with optic beams, but Vision is a little bit of a later Spec Ops. I think he is Spec Ops 8 that you earn him. And actually, I think based on the time frame, October. Okay. He is Spec Ops 8, so he will be earnable. Again, not somebody who leaps to mind when it comes to burning the way like Sunfire does, or Human Torch, but really what you're going to be working with in Beta 6, if you want to do a burning team: Human Torch, Iron Man, Rocket Pistol, the hotshot, if you can get it. And let's actually... GG Prototype, it has a high chance of causing it. This is in the Havoc Spec Ops. This was actually always one of my favorite debuff guns out there, but you only get a 50% chance of doing it. Hotshot is part of the Demon set, which is Spec Ops 4, and you get Ghost Rider out of that, which is a fan favorite. So I do see a lot of people leaning into getting the hotshot. I really do think a lot of people are going to encounter it relatively quickly, because I do believe a lot of people are going to want to try for Ghost Rider. And if you do not have the money, or the gold, I should say, to get the rocket pistol out of the store, farming for the hotshot is a pretty good way to go. And eventually, burning setups will get a little bit better when you have things like the Hand of Kagutsuchi, which does like some pyroforks. Back in the day, some people used to call it the Hand of Catgut Sushi. I believe that was PKB who did that. Yeah, I really wish Ring of Fire was an AoE, because it's like, okay, why would I pick Ring of Fire over just, a flame stream, which is probably going to do more damage overall? It feels like, what's the point, And you can see here, Plasma Body is pretty solid. That one is burning, so I'm going to go ahead and hit him with the Frozen Hell over here. Pyrophoric is a debuff that you want to put out when a lot of enemies are on the screen, because it really helps transfer the burning around a little bit. When it's like just one left, Pyrophoric does but only so much. However, kind of like a Ravage, when it comes to bleeding, it does actually make burning proc right then and there when they get hit with Pyrophoric. So even when you're running low on enemies to attack, Pyrophoric is still a relatively solid debuff. Alright, so that is what we've got for Team Burning or Burn Kit when Beta 6 drops out. When Beta 6 drops, if you're really looking to get into running a burning team, I hope this video does help you out. Yeah, see, Ring of Fire just... You could say, well, Ring of Fire is better because it approaches Flame Stream's damage, and then they get the pop also when they move, and, you may have a point there. Now, this one exploits burning. So it's, you don't see the damage here, but it does, a solid amount of damage when it's exploiting the burning. So before I end the video, I just want to let you guys know, if you are happening to catch this before 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, which is today, now 3/19, March 19th, I would definitely recommend you stop by the Twitch stream today, and a link will be in the description. The reason why I suggest that is there are several characters on this particular save that you are going to see brand new and never seen before in any footage on Beta 5.5, Beta 5.6, Beta 5.2. You're going to see a lot of characters that you have yet to see get unlocked and get into combat and everything. They're going to be unlocked and used on today's stream. So if you can, I would definitely recommend stopping by the Twitch stream today, March 19th at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Alright, so that's it for me on the Burn Kit. The next video up will be the Bleeders, and we'll probably be getting that one done relatively shortly, as I have the content for that one planned out too. Thanks a lot, guys. I will see you next time. Napalm out.